God is gone, the devil thrives, and the clock reads somewhere in the 1960s, an era when the United States believed the most frightening threats were flower children and Red Scare paranoia, yet creators of horror understood something deeper. They realized that authentic fear resided in roadside motels managed by overgrown mama's boys, in city apartments occupied by devil worshippers, and in whatever on earth was happening inside Roman Polanski's imagination. Hi, I'm Dan, and these are my personal picks for the best horror movies from the decade that delivered both peace signs and that infamous shower scene. Before getting started, let me clarify. This is not an academic ranking of the most historically significant horror films. This is simply my list, shaped by what unsettles me at night and what creeps into my thoughts when I'm by myself in an aging building. Some of you will absolutely be irritated that your favorite film is placed too low. I can already hear the protests about where the birds lands. Maybe I overlooked something you love. Drop it in the comments and we'll debate it there. At the end of the day, these are my rules. And honestly, birds are not that terrifying unless you live near especially hostile geese. Beginning with The Little Shop of Horrors from 1960. How come you woke up? Blood, you like blood? Oh, you must be kidding. This film proves you can create horror brilliance on a shoestring budget. Before it transformed into a stage musical about a soulful singing plant, Roger Corman shot the original in just a couple of days using whatever was available, including a young Jack Nicholson portraying a masochistic dental patient listing his abscesses, pyorrhea, cavities, and terrible pain. It's horror that makes you laugh first, and only afterward realize how twisted it actually is. Village of the Damned, 1960, follows with glowing-eyed British children who redefine creepy. No, Nancy, leave them alone. The movie taps into a universal truth. Children can be unsettling. Here they are, psychic alien colonizers with unfortunate haircuts. The brilliance lies in making pregnancy terrifying years before Rosemary's Baby. Imagine an entire town discovering they are all expecting at once. That is not a baby shower anyone wants to attend. The City of the Dead, also known in the United States as Horror Hotel, sounds either like a metal band or a terrible online review. Fans of Monty Python might recognize the witch trial vibe. This is peak British horror, heavy fog, Christopher Lee in tweed, and a town that is obviously evil while naive students wander straight into danger. If Christopher Lee advises you to visit a small New England village to research witchcraft, maybe decline. That's like getting directions to Camp Crystal Lake from someone wearing a hockey mask. Spider Baby, 1967, asks what if the Addams family were genuinely dangerous. Characters regress to a savage, cannibalistic state. Lon Chaney Jr. overseeing feral children feels like a deranged sitcom where everyone is one inconvenience away from devouring the mailman. Made for almost nothing, it delivers more authentic chills than many expensive modern productions. Blood and Black Lace, 1964, showcases Mario Bava crafting the template for stylish slashers before Argento's ballet nightmares. A fashion house becomes the setting for brutal, vividly colored murders staged like Vogue's Spreads Gone Horribly Wrong. America's Next Top Model with literal elimination. The Devil Rides Out, 1968, gives us Christopher Lee battling Satanists. That alone is the pitch. Instead of villainy, Lee plays the hero, fiercely opposing dark rituals. Watching him confront evil feels like witnessing a master chef dismantle incompetent contestants. Even if some effects now resemble a school play, the occult sequences remain unsettling. The Last Man on Earth, 1964, features Vincent Price portraying a lonely survivor long before I Am Legend's later adaptation. His daily routine of staking vampires feels eerily resonant post-2020. Price could recite a phone directory and make it sound apocalyptic. Black Sunday, 1960, another Bava masterpiece, opens in the 17th century with wrath against bloodthirsty beings. Barbara Steele's vampire, which suffers a brutally memorable execution involving a spiked mask. The black and white cinematography is stunning, making death appear strangely elegant, like Gothic fashion elevated to art. The Birds, 1963, is undeniably classic. Hitchcock. The playground scene still chills, yet living among aggressive pigeons reduces some fear factor. What truly terrifies is Hitchcock's tension. Minimal music, mounting dread, and relentless wing beats. The practical effects remain impressive. Peeping Tom, 1960, released the same year as Psycho, tells of a killer who films victims' deaths, effectively ending Michael Powell's career. Audiences were not prepared for a film implicating them in voyeurism. Today, in a phone-obsessed society, it feels prophetic, like Black Mirror decades early. Eyes Without a Face, 1960, centers on a surgeon stealing faces to repair his daughter's disfigurement. The surgical scenes remain shocking, and the daughter's blank mask is hauntingly poetic. This French horror blends beauty with disturbance. Even Billy Idol later drew inspiration from it. The Mask of the Red Death, 1964, presents Vincent Price at his most extravagantly sinister under Roger Corman's direction, loosely inspired by Poe. Lavish colors resemble a medieval painter designing a disco. Price revels in satanic decadence. Carnival of Souls, 1962, filmed cheaply in Kansas, proves budget is irrelevant to dread. A church organist survives a crash and begins seeing ghostly figures. Or perhaps she imagines them. The organ music and abandoned pavilion linger disturbingly. Created by industrial filmmakers on the side, it became one of the scariest films of its year. The Innocents, 1961, adapting The Turn of the Screw, offers gothic psychological horror in luminous black and white. A governess caring for possibly possessed children may be losing her mind, or not. Each frame builds unease. Witchfinder General, 1968, features Vincent Price in a grim historical portrayal of Matthew Hopkins. No supernatural forces, only human cruelty. Censors despised it, which often signals power. It is grim and difficult to watch. The Haunting, 1963, exemplifies haunted house storytelling without gore, pure psychological terror and masterful sound design. The spiral staircase scene induces anxiety, and the 1999 remake demonstrates why restraint matters. Night of the Living Dead, 1968, made for $114,000 with chocolate syrup for blood, transformed horror forever. Shot in Pittsburgh with local talent, it confronts not just zombies but human conflict. The ending remains a devastating blow. Repulsion, 1965, traps viewers inside a deteriorating mind within a London flat. Walls crack, hands emerge, reality fractures. It induces deep discomfort. Rosemary's Baby, 1968, despite controversy surrounding its director, stands among the greatest horror films. Mia Farrow's pregnancy paranoia becomes universal fear about autonomy and trust. Even knowing the truth does not diminish its terror. Finally, Psycho, 1960, claims the top position. Hitchcock's masterpiece extends far beyond the shower scene. Anthony Perkins renders Norman Bates both sympathetic and terrifying. The looming house, the stuffed birds, the final monologue, and the car rising from the swamp create a flawless symphony of fear. It made an entire generation wary of showers. If I overlooked your favorite or misranked something, say so in the comments. Disagree if you like, but Norman Bates holds number one, a hill I will defend, preferably far from a shower. And remember, as Norman reminded us, we all go a little mad sometimes.